Has Dr. Deepika joined?
Ma'am, she is there.
Okay. Deepika, if you can start the proceedings. Dr. Deepika? I think I'll start with the introduction. Deepika can join in then. Very good evening to all of you. Greetings from the IFS. I am Dr. Priya Bhave Chittawar, and I really feel very privileged to introduce all of you to this one of its kind unique program, which is designed for IVF nurses by the IVF nurses. And this is going to be a game changer in the scene of ART as I see in India. I am personally very passionate about this program because मैं जब रेसिडेंट थी, जब मैं अपनी फेलोशिप कर रही थी, तो मेरे को जो चीजें आईवीएफ में आती हैं वो मैं ये कह सकती हूँ 70% हमारे यहाँ की जो आईवीएफ नर्स थी सिस्टर न्यानमणि उनसे मैंने सीखी। बाद में मैंने अपना खुद का आईवीएफ सेंटर स्टार्ट किया, बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे यूनिट्स भी अलग अलग जगह पे स्टार्ट किए, और जब भी कोई प्रॉब्लम आती थी तो आप सब लोग आईवीएफ नर्सेस आज यहाँ पर ज्वाइंड है। आपको जान के शायद आश्चर्य नहीं होगा कि मैं अपने टीचर से ना पूछ के मैं जो मेरी आईवीएफ नर्स थी उससे पूछती थी, और अधिकतर केसेस में मुझे सॉल्यूशन मिल जाता था। आप सब लोग जो है वो बैकबोन है एक आईवीएफ यूनिट की, और ये हमारे जो प्रेसिडेंट हैं डॉक्टर पंकज तलवार, उनका बहुत ही अच्छा एक इनिशिएटिव है जिसमें हम अपना नॉलेज अपग्रेडेशन, नॉलेज शेयरिंग और साथ ही साथ पर्सनल डेवलपमेंट पे भी ध्यान देने वाले हैं। मैं बहुत शॉर्ट में आपको इस प्रोग्राम की रूपरेखा बताऊंगी। आज जो हमारा प्रोग्राम है उसका नाम है आरंभ। आरंभ यानी शुरुआत, और जैसा कहते हैं वेल बिगन इज हाफ डन। तो आज का जो प्रोग्राम है उसमें हम शुरुआत करेंगे, हम आपको पूरा एक आउटलाइन देंगे, और ये जो पूरा प्रोग्राम है ये हमारी जो एनुअल कॉन्फ्रेंस है फर्टिविजन की, जो इस साल अहमदाबाद में है, उस तक चलेगा, और ये मंथ में एक हमारी ऑनलाइन मीटिंग रहेगी। इसमें हम बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स कवर करने वाले हैं, और उन टॉपिक्स का अगर मैं आपको शॉर्ट में बताऊं तो जून में हम सेशन लेने वाले हैं इंजेक्शन टेक्निक्स और बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर। जुलाई का जो हमारा सेशन है उसका नाम है उदय, और उसमें हम चेकलिस्ट की बात करेंगे आईवीएफ स्टार्ट करने के पहले। प्री आईवीएफ वर्कअप क्या होता है, प्री ओपीयू वर्कअप क्या होता है, उसके बारे में। अगस्त के सेशन का नाम है उत्पत्ति, और इसमें हम प्री और पोस्ट एम्ब्रियो ट्रांसफर काउंसलिंग, प्री और पोस्ट लैप्रोस्कोपी काउंसलिंग के बारे में बात करेंगे। पांचवा जो सेशन रहेगा वो सितंबर में रहेगा। पांचवें सेशन में काउंसलिंग फॉर आईवीएफ नर्सेस। आप सब लोग जो है वो पेशेंट को अलग अलग तरीके से काउंसिल करते हैं, उनका उत्साह बढ़ाते हैं, उनको साइकोलॉजिकली सपोर्ट करते हैं। कैसे हम इस काम को और अच्छे तरीके से कर सकते हैं ये हम सितंबर के सेशन में सीखेंगे। इसके बाद कभी कभी हमारे आईवीएफ यूनिट में कुछ इमरजेंसी के सिचुएशंस आ जाती हैं, कभी पेशेंट कोलैप्स हो जाता है, कभी उसे पेन होता है, कभी ब्लीडिंग होती है। तो ये सारी चीजें हम कैसे मैनेज करें, इसका सेशन का नाम है सचेत। सचेत का अर्थ होता है अलर्ट, और इसको हम कैसे ज्यादा अच्छे से मैनेज कर सकते हैं ये हम डिस्कस करेंगे। कोई भी एफर्ट जो है वो तब तक सफल नहीं होगा जब तक हम खुद को एम्पावर नहीं करेंगे, और खुद को एम्पावर करने के लिए हमें हमारा इमोशनल मैनेजमेंट, हमें अपना खुद का सेल्फ केयर, माइंडफुलनेस, ये एक आईवीएफ नर्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहता है। और इसके लिए जो हमारा लास्ट सेशन होगा नवंबर में वो माइंडफुलनेस और मेडिटेशन के ऊपर होगा, जिससे हम सेल्फ इंप्रूवमेंट कर सकते हैं। अच्छी बात यह है कि जो नर्सेस ये सारे सातों सेशंस अटेंड करेंगी उनके लिए डॉक्टर श्वेता के पास एक अच्छा अनाउंसमेंट है। वो हमारे साथ ज्वाइन हुई है, डॉक्टर श्वेता गंगाराम में सीनियर कंसल्टेंट है एआरटी की, और अ, उनका बहुत बड़ा रोल रहा है इस पूरे प्रोग्राम को बनाने में। तो डॉक्टर श्वेता, आई वेलकम यू। मैं देख सकती हूँ कि आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं, तो आप
थैंक
प्लीज
यू
इस
डॉक्टर।
कार्यक्रम के बारे में बुलाइए, बताइए और सबको वेलकम करिए।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर प्रिया एंड ऑल द डियर नर्सिंग स्टाफ जो ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं। बहुत ही खुशी हो रही है मुझे देख के कि 50 लोग ज्वाइन कर गए हैं, एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर कि बाय द एंड ऑफ दिस प्रोग्राम ना आप आपकी जितनी भी दोस्त होंगी, कॉलीग्स होंगे, सब ज्वाइन करेंगे। देखिए ये ना इस बार जब हमने फर्टिविजन की जो न्यू टीम ने टेक ओवर किया, सो वी हैड 5 प्रोग्राम्स इन माइंड। कि मुझे याद है कि लास्ट टू लास्ट ईयर फर्टिविजन में हैदराबाद में मुझे एक वर्कशॉप मिली थी, आईवीएफ, ओपीयू, oocyte पिकअप एंड एम्ब्रियो ट्रांसफर। एंड दैट इज द फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन आई थॉट कि नहीं, एक नर्स का लेक्चर होना चाहिए कि व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ नर्स इन एन एआरटी प्रोग्राम, जो आज हम दोबारा प्रेजेंट करेंगे। एंड वो इतना अप्रिशिएटेड था, इनफैक्ट डॉक्टर्स ने आके पूछा कि ये इतनी बढ़िया प्रेजेंटेशन है कि हमें अपने बाकी स्टाफ को दिखाना है। तो इस बार हमने सोचा कि हमारे 5 एम्पावरमेंट प्रोग्राम्स हैं, 4 डॉक्टर्स के लिए, इनफैक्ट 3 डॉक्टर्स के लिए, 1 नर्सेस के लिए है और 1 काउंसलर्स के लिए है। तो सारे प्रोग्राम्स डॉक्टर्स के लिए नहीं होने चाहिए, बिकॉज एक आईवीएफ प्रोग्राम जो होता है वो तभी सफल होगा जब सब लोग इक्वली अपने लेवल पे ट्रेंड होंगे। तो नर्सेज अपने लेवल पे होंगी, डॉक्टर्स अपने लेवल पे हैं, फेलोशिप प्रोग्राम्स तो बहुत है, लेकिन कोई भी आईवीएफ रिलेटेड, रिप्रोडक्टिव मेडिसिन रिलेटेड डेडिकेटेड नर्सेस का प्रोग्राम नहीं है। सो डॉक्टर प्रिया वुड बी आवर नेशनल कोऑर्डिनेटर। बहुत अच्छा एक प्रोग्राम चॉक आउट किया है। एट द एंड ऑफ इट हम ये चाहते हैं कि जब जिन्होंने सारे के सारे प्रोग्राम्स अटेंड किए, हम उनको एक सर्टिफिकेशन भी दे पाए। तो बहुत जरूरी होगा कि आप रजिस्टर करिए इस प्रोग्राम के लिए, है ना। वी वांट यू टू रजिस्टर, तभी हमें पता चलेगा कि आपने ये प्रोग्राम उसमें रजिस्ट्रेशन कर लिया है। नाउ इज डॉक्टर दीपिका देयर, क्योंकि मैं चाह रही हूँ कि अब हम स्ट्रेट ऑन अपना प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट करें। चैट बॉक्स को यूज करिए, चैट बॉक्स में आप अपने क्वेश्चंस लिखिए। और हम चाहते हैं कि नर्सेज एक दूसरे से इंटरेक्ट करें, ये नहीं है कि ये वन वे हो। आप लोग क्वेश्चंस पूछिए सो दैट आप अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस भी बताइए, एंड डॉक्टर दीपिका आपके सारे क्वेश्चंस रीड आउट करेंगी और एक दूसरे से नर्सेस के ओपिनियंस भी ली जाएंगी, ठीक है ना। सो डॉक्टर दीपिका, आर यू देयर? If she is not there, then I can introduce the first speaker. I mean, the only speaker.
Just one thing, Dr. Shweta. I
हाँ,
wanted to request Farha. अभी हमें 60 participants दिख रहे हैं। फरहा, अगर आप इन सबके नाम लिख लें या सब लोग अपने अपने नाम, फोन नंबर चैट बॉक्स में डाल दें तो हमें अटेंडेंस में सहूलियत रहेगी। जो भी नर्सेस सारे प्रोग्राम्स अटेंड करती हैं शुरू से आखिरी तक, ध्यान रखिएगा सिर्फ लॉगिन नहीं, आपको शुरू से आखिरी तक इसको अटेंड करना है। उनको एक स्पेशल ये कह सकते हैं प्रिविलेज दिया जाएगा, which our leader Dr. Talwar and Dr. Shweta will announce. Maybe they will get to attend the Fertivision conference, but इसके लिए आप सबका पूरा प्रोग्राम अटेंड करना जरूरी है। प्लीज अपना नाम और फोन नंबर चैट बॉक्स में डालिए, एंड फरहा, आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू नोट इट डाउन। एंड ओवर टू यू, डॉक्टर श्वेता।
and definitely special thanks to Dr. Pankaj Talwar, who is the president of IFS, who has come up with such a great vision. We want कि हम IFS के through बहुत सारे academic programs करें, and let's begin. So I will introduce the first speaker. This speaker is Sister Palak. She's from my center, Sir Gangaram Hospital. She's a very young and enthusiastic nurse with us, and she will be today sharing this talk on role of an ART nurse in an IVF program. So, Sister Palak, are you there? Can you switch on your camera? Yeah, Palak has shared. So, Palak, you can.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma'am.
Yes. Hi. So you
Good
can,
evening.
now the stage is yours, and you can, start your presentation.
Okay.
इसको full screen कर दो आप.
Okay, ma'am.
या full screen है already.
Ma'am, already full screen ही
ठीक है,
है.
you can start. You can start. Okay.
Okay.
The dais is yours.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Palak Chandok, working as a fertility nurse in IVF Labs or Gangaram Hospital. Today, I'm going to talk about role of nurse in successful ART program. So nurses are the primary healthcare personnel that the couple will communicate with during the IVF process and have important roles in coordination at various stages of the treatment and ensuring commitment of the couple to the treatment. So in early days, nurses' role was only limited to theater, but now we are actively involved in all stages of the treatment cycle, which begins with patient coordination, patient education, administration of drugs correctly, theater work, documentation, and psychological support. So patient coordination, we as nurses, we spend maximum time with patients than any other team members. So it's our responsibility to bridge all the gaps between patient and the clinician, patient and the embryologist, patient and the non-clinical staff. Also, we review medical records. We answer all the questions regarding cycles, medication, procedure, etc. We also assure that all ART relevant consent forms and PCP and DT consent forms are duly signed and attached in the file. We collaborate with clinician in planning and implementing treatment plan appropriate to individual patient. Now next is patient education. Okay, so we nurses should have thorough knowledge before we teach our patients, we educate our patients about all the steps involved in the IVF process. Like they begin their cycle on day 3 of their menstrual cycle, and then we teach them the administration of injections. They have few blood tests on day 3 of their cycle, like E2, progesterone, LH, FSH, and ultrasound like follicle monitoring and endometrial thickness. Then we teach them the importance of injections, importance of trigger injection. We tell them about the oocyte retrieval process. We tell them about the embryo transfer process. And then we tell them about the post-care, post-ET instructions, post-OCR instructions. And we also share its risks and benefits. Then we also educate.
So, Palak, just to interrupt, can you very slowly tell that what all instructions you give?
Yes,
Like
yes,
when it
ma'am.
comes to oocyte.
I'm
Yeah,
coming on to that
yeah.
only.
Just be a little slow and then you explain.
Okay, okay. So these fertility drugs, these are started on second, third day of the menstrual cycle. So we tell them that these drugs have to be taken regularly. They should not miss or skip the dose because it may lead to cycle cancellation. Then we tell them the correct technique of self-administration of injections that I'll tell you later in detail. Then we tell them that when they take these injections during these course of injections, they may experience bloating, sometimes cramping, pinching in the abdomen, because now ovaries are stimulated and bulky. We encourage our patients to have protein rich diet, plenty of fruits and vegetables, and they should avoid performing high impact activities and workouts during this treatment cycle. Then next is administration of drugs correctly. So we should have thorough knowledge of all the injections before we teach them about the injections, because depending upon the type of injection, we demonstrate them the right technique step by step. Like IVF injections are given through two main routes, that is subcutaneous and intramuscular. So if a clinician has prescribed subcutaneous injections, the subcutaneous injections can be self-administered and can be available in pen form and in vial with diluent form. So if it's a pen form injection, like injection Gonal-F and injection Folisurge, so we tell them that how to set the prescribed dose by rotating the dial, put the needle, and then administered it. And if the injection is given in vial with diluent form, then we tell them the technique of mixing and preparing and then administering. And yeah, if the injection is given prescribed like Menotaz XP Luveris, sorry, Menotaz XP, so Umog injection, which is menotropin. So it is administered through intramuscular route. So intramuscular route injections are designed to deliver into the muscle, which should not be self-administered. We tell our patients that these injections should only be administered under the with the help of healthcare professional. Then next is the site of injection. We for subcutaneous injections, the preferred site is upper side of the front thigh, and they can take this injection in abdomen also, below belly button. Then we tell them the very important thing is maintaining the cold chain of these injections. So we educate them that these injections have to be refrigerated, and while traveling they can take these injections in insulated box. And and these injections have to be taken around same time every day. They have to fix one time in a day, and then every day they'll take it around same time. And after taking the injections, they may experience little bit of bruising, bleeding, soreness at the injection site, especially with injection like cetrorelix acetate. It creates little redness, swelling, pain. Most of the patients have same experience with injection cetrorelix. Now, they may also experience little side effects like bloating, cramping, and breast tenderness. Then next is we ensure that they get very confident when administering injection to themselves, and we reassure that they can call us anytime and address their queries and concerns throughout this process. Next is theater work. It's our responsibility to maintain a sterile environment in the operating room. Machine and equipment should be in proper working condition. OT table should be well prepared. All the supplies required during the surgery should be available and kept handy. All the drugs which are required for induction of anesthesia should be kept ready. Anesthetists especially should be called before we take patient inside the theater, and setting up of trolley for the procedure. Documentation. So keeping good record is a part of nursing care we give to our patients. So a complete, accurate and timely documentation of medical records and PCPNDT records is my responsibility. It not only promotes patient safety, but also improves the quality of care. Psychological support. When patients begin their IVF journey, they are very nervous, they are anxious, they think that this process is really going to hurt them. So we have to assure them that they are not alone in this journey. We try to make their journey very smooth and pleasant, and being understanding and able to empathize with them is the most important and satisfying part of our role. Next comes the first visit. When we meet the patient during ovarian stimulation, like on day 2, day 3 of their cycle, we greet them with a smile. I always introduce my patients with my name. So this really makes them feel warm, comfortable, and easy to communicate. Then we go through the instructions given to her by the clinician so that we can understand it and explain to them in easy language, and ensures that they have no doubts before they leave. All the fertility drugs need to be administered with utmost caution, looking at correct dose and type of preparation. This is very important because if they skip the dose or miss the dose, their cycle may get cancelled. And if they take overdose of these injections, they may land up into hyperstimulation. So it is very important to take these drugs carefully. Then we need to check if LH suppression in agonist or antagonist cycle is correctly being followed or not. Because 2 protocols we follow. First is short protocol, which is antagonist cycle. The other one is long protocol, agonist cycle. So if a clinician has put patient on agonist cycle, long protocol, we make sure that patients are taking their leuprolide acetate injection regularly. And if they are following short protocol, that is antagonist cycle, then we make sure that patients have started their cetrorelix acetate injection around 6th day of the cycle. Most important and last instruction is date and time of final trigger. We educate our patients about the final trigger shot, because this procedure, we tell them that this procedure is done at 35 to 36 hours after the trigger shot. So they should not take it in a wrong hour, because taking this injection in wrong hour may lead to cycle cancellation or rescheduling it. Then on the day of OCR, this is a checklist we fill before we take patient inside. Number 1 is identification of patient. So we verify the patient name and the other details to avoid any errors which may happen later. Then surgical consent, both operative and anesthesia, should be signed by both patient and her relative, and PCPNDT consent forms, which includes form D, G, and F. Then we tell our patients that they should bring their file and reports on the day of surgery. Trigger time and date should be confirmed twice. Because if the patient has not taken trigger on the right time, like if the patient has taken the trigger earlier, so it may result in spontaneous ovulation. Likewise, if the patient has taken the trigger late, then it may result in retrieval of immature oocytes. So we make sure that patient has taken the trigger on right time and right date. Sorry. Then we check for pre-anesthesia checkup, because We come to know about any comorbidities during PS by checking this PSC form, and also if any nursing intervention is required before surgery, that we can do. Suppose if any patient is having cough, and if anesthetists are advised to nebulize preoperatively, so we can do that. And any patient is diabetic, patient anesthetist has advised to check fasting blood sugar, so we can do it. And then we ask for any drug and food allergies to, so that we can prevent any reactions during surgery and after surgery. Then we ensure that patient is arriving without jewelry, nail paint, makeup, and not to use any scented or scented lotions or perfumes on the day of retrieval. I'm so sorry. Patient should not drink or eat anything 8 hours before procedure except the essential medication, that also with sip of water. Ask for pain in abdomen or any other symptom. This is really important because mild to moderate cramping and abdominal pain is expected on the day of surgeries because ovaries are bulky. So patients have this feeling of heaviness. But if the patient is complaining of severe pain, then it's my responsibility to inform the clinician, make the patient ready for transvaginal sonography, and then look for the follicles, whether they are intact or not. If follicles are intact, then it is fine. But if follicles are not intact, we see any signs of ovulation like fluid in POD, then we may have to take patient immediately to the OT table before the scheduled time, only after clinician tells. This is the checklist we use at our center, pre-oocyte aspiration checklist. Then OPU preparation before procedure begins. So before we take patient, we have to prep up the OT for the procedure. We turn on the suction pump. We check for its functioning by pressing the suction pedal. We check its pressure, which should be between 90 to 120 mm of Hg. Then temperature of the test tube warmer should be maintained between 37 to 38 degrees Celsius. Then we check the functioning of ultrasound machine daily. Here on the screen, you all can see there are 3 lines. So these 3 lines give the direction to the needle. So the clinician should enter through the midline, only then they target the right follicle. This is how we set up ovum pickup trolley, in which we keep one set of gynae pack with sterile grapes, one pack of gown, pair of gloves. We keep needle guide and a sterile probe cover to make the vaginal probe. Then we keep a bowl with few cotton swabs and sponge holder to clean the vaginal cavity with saline. And cuscus, Sims, and tenaculum we keep for any assistance required after the procedure, if in case if it's there is any bleeding or something. We test the OPU needle. We check the patency of this needle before we start the procedure. Then we check for test tubes, whether they are fissured or intact, because if test tubes are fissured, then we may not get proper free flow of follicular fluid. We check the needle connection with the tubing system and ensure that they are tightly connected with no air leakage. I'm so sorry. Ensure that the collection tube is not kinked or damaged. Then this is how we prepare vaginal probe. It should be prepared with sterile probe cover under all aseptic technique, ensuring that jelly is in adequate amount. We ensure that needle guide is well applied on the probe and not loose. We only use non-powdered gloves during this procedure. Now, role of nurse in OPU. We ensure that procedure is started at the designated time, because it's a time-bound procedure which has to be done between 35 to 36 hours. Patient to taken on OT table with empty bladder. Sterile conditions to be maintained. OT traffic should be controlled. Maintaining privacy during the procedure is very important. Vagina and vulva will be cleansed with saline. And in case of endometriosis and adenomyosis, we use betadine cleaning followed by normal saline. Exchanging tubes and passing them to embryology lab. After all the eggs are collected, we inspect needle prick sites for any bleeding. And if required, we apply sterile gauze to stop the bleeding. And if bleeding does not stop, we assist clinician in catching the bleeder by providing all the assistant and instruments required. Now, troubleshooting during OPU. We immediately inform clinician if suction fails. If required, we take out the needle and perform flush to clear any blockage. Sometimes while doing the procedure, there is a clot. So in that case, follicular fluid stops coming. So we immediately inform the clinician. Clinician takes out the needle and we flush it with the medium. Now, if the ovary is mobile, it can be fixed by applying abdominal pressure. This is how we apply abdominal pressure to stabilize the ovaries so that a follicle can be targeted. Stable flow rate should be maintained during the entire procedure to avoid turbulence. If blood enters the test tube, we immediately change the tube, because then it becomes difficult for the embryologist to find out oocytes with the blood mixed follicular fluid. Follicular fluid should be immediately transferred to embryology lab with warm hands to check for oocytes. We should always keep our hands warm because cold hands may provide shock to the oocytes. If no oocytes are retrieved, suspicion may be raised that patient has not had a trigger. In case of HCG trigger, we keep our UPT kit handy. It is always available with us. In case it's very required, we perform the UPT test and check whether the trigger has worked or not. And in case of agonist trigger, we perform urine LH test. LH kit also we keep ready, and we send serum LH and progesterone's level for testing. After the oocyte retrieval procedure is done, we transfer the patient to the recovery area. We monitor our patients there for 2 to 3 hours. We look for the symptoms like pain, then dizziness, nausea, vomiting. According to their symptoms, we give them medication and make them comfortable. If they are comfortable, we give them a soft diet and monitor them if they are tolerating it well. Then we give them post oocyte advice about next visit, medication, diet to be followed, exercise, everything we tell them. And if in case patient is having some symptoms, we inform the clinician, give them medicines accordingly, and then we send them home. Now, role of nurse before embryo transfer. Fertility nurse is not only concerned with the sterility of tools and equipment used during the embryo transfer, she ensures that patients are emotionally and physically ready for this stage of treatment. On the day of embryo transfer, this is a checklist we use before embryo transfer. We take the consent, both husband and wife, for embryo transfer and PCPNDT form F and G. Then again, identification should be done properly. Patients are told to bring files and reports on the day of embryo transfer. Then they are told to drink fluids to fill bladder because it helps in better visualization of uterus and endometrial lining. Patient can drink or eat normally before embryo transfer. Then they should not use perfumes and scented lotions. And we ensure that patients have taken the prescribed hormonal supplements like progesterone. Patient is asked for any pain in abdomen or any other symptom, because in case we are doing fresh transfer, then we may have to look symptoms for OHSs, that is ovarian hyperstimulation. This is how we set up trolley for embryo transfer, in which we keep one gynae pack with sterile drapes, cuscus speculum to catch the cervix, a bowl with few cotton swabs and a sponge holder to clean the vaginal cavity, and a syn speculum, uterine sound, and tenaculum we use in case of difficult transfers. Then on the right hand, you can see embryo transfer catheter, cervical media, and stillet, which we use in case of difficult transfers to negotiate the cervical canal. Then patient preparation, we inform the embryologist and clinician before taking the patient inside the theater. We take the patient to the changing room and tell her to change in an OT gown. Then patient is taken to the theater and asked to lie down in lithotomy position. We cover them with sterile drapes. Short spotlights should be well placed. Next, we put a speculum into the vagina and cervix is cleansed with gauze dipped in normal saline. We keep ultrasound probe on abdomen to visualize uterus, cervix, and endometrial lining during the transfer. It is better visualized when the bladder is partially full. Provide cervical media and outer catheter for transfer. For difficult transfers, we keep stillet and instruments ready. Names should be called out loudly and clearly when when informing the embryologist to load the embryo. After removing the catheter, hand it over to the embryologist and check for retained embryos. In case if the embryo is retained, then we do the transfer again. Whether it be OPU or embryo transfer, nurses need to ensure that patients carry a detailed discharge card prepared by the doctors and to ensure all instructions are carried out precisely the way prescribed. Conclusion: nurses' role has been shifted from being comforters to modern healthcare professionals. They have multifaceted roles as holistic caregiver, patient advocates, specialists, and researchers. And with education, training, and support, fertility nurses have the ability to extend and expand their scope of practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Palak. This was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you,
Giving
ma'am.
a complete holistic overview. After listening to it, I always feel that nurses have so much to do, so much to run about. Is Dr. Deepika there? Or I can take up questions from the chat box. You can stop sharing. So there was this one question which was asked that sometimes nurses alone cannot handle patients because are very rude to them. So I was thinking how we can, prevent that. I think the concerned consultant. So, when we are counseling our patients, we always tell them that my nurse will give the instruction. She's very, experienced and she will tell you all. So it's only when your own consultants will, give confidence to the patients, or if there is an in charge, nurse in your center, she is the one who needs to take over, and slowly the patients will start having confidence. It's very important for doctors to get that confidence in their nurses. So make them practice these drills time and again. You practice the kind of instructions you will be giving the patients to the patients in front of your consultants, and I'm sure your patients will start believing in you. The second question somebody had asked, yes, though Palak mentioned it as short protocol, what she actually meant was that usually two protocols are followed. One is an antagonist, where we give the gonadotropins and then we give antagonists to prevent LH surge. And the second one is a down-regulated, where you start like a leuprolide acetate or any molecule before the treatment cycle. So basically, she meant these two. The third question which was asked was, why not perfumes? So see, perfumes contain volatile organic compounds, and volatile organic compounds, when they spread in the operation theater or go to the embryo lab, are toxic to the embryo. So we don't want, that is the reason we are not using alcohol swabs. If you see the bench tops, the stations are not, cleaned with alcohol. They are used with non-toxic substances. And that is why we also don't use alcohol in our operation theater. I could see that besides nurses, I could see Dr. Geeta Khanna also. I could see some more doctors. I think you can come in and pitch in this presentation. It will be great to get everybody's input. I can see Dr. Geeta, Dr. La, Dr. Raheen, Dr. Abinya, and Dr. Neelam. And all the nurses, please put your questions in the chat box. Can we use normal saline to clean vagina? Palak, can you answer? Or cervix before embryo transfer?
Yes, we only use normal saline for cervical cleaning before embryo transfer and nothing else.
Thank you, Dr. Sujata, for this. Okay, Dr. Palak, can you answer this? Can we use ultrasound gel in probe preparation during OPU, or we should have normal saline? What do you do?
No, we use ultrasound jelly only, and then we cover the probe with sterile probe cover, and then we insert it in the vagina.
So your jelly is not exposed to the outer
No, it is
of
not
the probe
exposed.
cover. And what kind of a probe cover are you using?
Non-powdered plastic probe covers, not the latex one.
Can you tell the brand name?
It's Clear Probe.
Yes. So Clear Probe looks like a hand care. You can just see that there is only one, it's like a one space, not like glove which has 5 for the fingers, and that can be used easily for the probes. Are there any other questions? Sister Palak, can you tell me how do you recall what is the protocol before embryo transfer? How do you check it's the same patient? And if there are 2 patients with the same name on one particular day, then what do you do?
So first of all, we go to the patient, verify their name and details. If we get 2 patients with same name, then we confirm the husband name and patient surname also.
So how does it typically happen? You tell the name to the embryologist. When the embryologist gets the embryo loaded, what do they do?
So suppose a patient's name is Sunita and husband's name is Sunil. So we tell that patient Sunita Sharma, wife of Sunil Sharma, ready. So only after we tell them, they take out the embryo and load the embryo.
And then when they get the loaded embryos, what do they do again?
They again tell the name and the day
Yes.
of embryo. That patient Sunita Sharma, 1 day 5 embryo or 2 day 3 embryos, whatever they are transferring.
Excellent. Now there is another question which says, there was something. What is the resting time after an embryo transfer?
Resting time is 10 to 15 minutes at our center, not more than that.
Yes. And do you let them pass urine?
Yes,
Do they
yes.
come with absolutely full bladder, or they should not come with absolutely
No,
full
not
bladder?
absolutely full bladder. We tell our patients when they reach us, we tell them that their bladder should be partially full, so that on the OT table they should not feel like peeing. And then after 10 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes of transfer, we send them to the washroom and they can empty their bladder.
Palak, can you tell us that our operation theaters, the OPOT, they are cleaned by what? Are they
Ma'am,
cleaned by
we just clean it with regular water. We don't use any high aromatic things.
disinfectant? And in the lab, you can use USAFE. These are commercially applied for bench, top cleaning. Are there any questions? So we'll wait for 1 more minute. And I hope that you found this first presentation useful. If you have any more questions, you can also put it in the nurses group. The group we have made. Encourage more of your colleagues to participate. This is not a platform, to tell anybody what they are doing. It is a platform where, we can share our experiences. So it has to be a two-way communication, which will be very, very good. Okay, there is another question. Sometimes there is blood stain on the probe cover. Which solution is used to clean probe? See, normally we use a probe cover for this reason. It is very important that you should use a probe cover. You should not be doing oocyte aspirations without using a probe cover because you are causing disinfection. But if the blood is there on the probe, we always clean it with a normal saline. That's all. Palak, are you doing something different?
Yes, ma'am. Normal saline only. We are cleaning with normal saline only.
So any other questions? I think there is. Which disinfectant to clean after any serology positive cases? So always, the infected cases, yes, are done as the last case. Very important is that you should check the viral load of these patients. So whether they are hepatitis B, C, we are not taking up for HIV, but other centers could be taking up. And they're always done as the last case. We cannot do carbolization. Only thing what you can do is that the viral load is negligible. Now, so Palak, are we doing anything different?
No, ma'am, we are just using Basilol. And after that, we leave the OT for a few hours. We don't take any patients inside. And we
Because
allow cross ventilation also.
so basically what you're doing is that you're taking them up as the last case.
Last case, yes,
If
ma'am.
if you have multiple, consultants doing their cases, and if one is HBsAg positive, then you should do that as the last case for the day, so that you can, do this cleaning with Basilol and keep some time before you can take embryo transfer or leave it for the day. What did they say? Can we fill the bladder with catheter before embryo transfer? Yes, we have done sometimes, but nowadays what I have started doing is that I have learned the technique of transvaginal scan. So I'm able to manage that with one assistant, and many a times I do that. But in case you are not very comfortable doing it, you can fill it up. Just make sure that it is done in a sterile manner. Palak, can you give answer to this? Pre-procedure hand wash with tap water. Is it enough?
No,
We are doing it with soap, yeah.
We do procedural hand washing. Not the regular hand washing, because it's a invasive and sterile procedure. So we follow all the steps and we do procedural hand washing.
So we absolutely do TISA in our OPU ET, because TISA is not an infective case, and we haven't found any problems, after doing TISA on the same table as of OPU. Okay, I think there are no more questions. We have dealt with all of them, and I want to thank everyone once again. If you like this program, or if you have wanted to add something more, please put it in the chat box. Okay, one more question has come. If there is blood or fluid spillage, can we use any proper cleaning? Palak, do you want to answer that? That during OPU, invariably it happens that there is bleeding, some blood falls. So how is it cleaned?
So while the procedure is going on, we only do regular cleaning. We can't use any disinfectant. But yes, if it's the last case, we can do proper. We have kept hazmat kit in which we use sodium hypochlorite. So we can do that. Pour hypochlorite and then leave the area for some time, and then we can mop the area and discard everything into red bag, and then we should leave the OT for the day, because they have this sodium hypochlorite has fumes which could be harmful for the oocytes.
So thank you so much, and we will get back again after a month. Please put in your feedbacks in the group, and thank you, Palak, for this wonderful initiative and a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, so we will exit. Bye-bye.